Well, I've been meaning to talk to you. I hope you won't mind. I suppose you are the easygoing type and you missed your train.
Why not more than a minute? I rush into the station and it pulls out right before my very eyes.
You could have run after it.
Of course. It's silly, I know. If I hadn't been loaded down with all those damn packages, bundles, boxes, God knows what else, like a jackass. But you know women, errands, it never stops. It took me 3 minutes just to get out of the tag and get my cab and get my finger through all those strings. 3 packages a finger.
He must have been quite a sight. You know what I'd have done? I'd have left him in the cab.
Oh yes, my wife and my daughters and all their friends.
Oh, let them scream. I'd enjoy it enormously.
That's because you probably have no idea what women are like when they get to the country in the summer.
But of course I know, precisely because I do know. They all begin by saying they won't really need anything.
And that's all. They're even capable of maintaining that they're going there to save. Then as soon as they get to some village around here, the uglier it is, the poorer and dirtier it is, the more they insist on dressing it up with all the most expensive and useless little fripperies. Anyway, women, my dear sir, it's their profession. If you wouldn't mind, honey, if you could just go and get a little bit of this and a little bit of that, if it's no trouble, sweet, that no trouble, isn't it? And if you could also stop by so-and-so's. Well, honey, I only planned on being here 3 hours. Why not just take a cab? Well, I only planned on being here 3 hours and I didn't bring my house keys.
Oh, fine. And so?
So I left my mountain of packages in the station cloakroom and went to some restaurant to get something to eat. Then to soothe my nerves, I went to the theater, hot as hell. When I was leaving, I asked myself, what now? It's nearly midnight and the next train is at 4 in the morning and it didn't seem worth it to get some room somewhere for only 3 hours of sleep, so I came here. This place stays open, doesn't it?
It never closes. So you really left all of your packages in the check room?
Yes, why aren't they safe?
Oh, don't be worried. There's nothing to worry about. Very well wrapped. I'm sure of it. That special skill that the young clerks have for wrapping up what they've just sold. What hands they have. You see them tear off a great big double sheet of that shiny red paper. So smooth you want to put your cheek to it to feel how fresh it is. They spread it out on the counter. Nonchalantly, gracefully, they place the material you've just bought, all nicely folded right in the center. First with the back of one hand, raise one side of the sheet. And then with the other one, fold the other side over, double folding it quickly too along the edges, that little extra touch for the sheer love of the art. And fold the end flat into triangles and turn the points under. They pull out enough string to tie up the bundle and knot it so smooth that you hardly have enough time to admire their skill before you're handing your package ready for you to stick your finger through the loop.
Well, I can see you pay quite a lot of attention to how they do things in these stores.
Me, my dear sir, I can pass whole days at it. I can spend an hour staring into a shop window. I forget myself. I feel like I really would like to be that bolt of silk, that strip of linen, that red or blue ribbon that the clerks measure out by the yard. Have you ever noticed how they do it? Before wrapping all the things up, they form an 8 with a thumb and the little finger of the left hand. I watch the customer leave the store holding his package from his finger or under his arm. I follow him with my eyes until I lose sight of him. I imagine. Oh, I imagine so many things you couldn't guess how many. And it helps. At least it helps.
It helps? In what way?
Clinging like this. I mean, in my imagination, to life, like a vine around the bars of an iron gate. I try never to let my imagination rest, not even for a moment. I use it to cling continually to the lives of others, but not people I know. No, mere thought of it nauseates me, disgusts me. I cling to the life of a stranger on whom my imagination can work freely, but not capriciously. No, I keep careful track of the least little hints I can spot in one person or another. If only you know how well it works. I see somebody's house and I live in it. I feel a part of it, so at home I can even sniff, you know, that particular atmosphere that every house has. Yours, mine. Except that when we're in our own houses, we're no longer conscious of it because It's the atmosphere of our own lives that we breathe. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yes, I can see that you do.
Yes, because, I mean, it must be fun for you to imagine all these things.
Fun. For me.
Yeah, I should think so.
Tell me something. Have you ever gone to a good doctor?
Me? No, I'm not
Don't
sick.
feel on. All I wanted to know was whether or not you've ever sat in some good doctor's waiting room.
Oh, yeah, I once went with one of my daughters. Something to do with her nerves.
Good. I'm not prying. All I meant was those rooms. Have you ever noticed? The sofa's usually dark. Old-fashioned looking, the upholstered chairs that hardly ever match, the little armchairs, furniture picked up here and there, secondhand stuck in that room for the patients. It doesn't belong to the house. The doctor would never entertain his wife's friends there. His living room is handsome, luxurious. What a contrast between his home and his waiting room, for which this decent, sober furniture seems adequate enough. When you accompanied your daughter, did you pay careful attention to the chair or the sofa that you sat on?
Not really, no.
Of course not. Because you're not sick. But even the sick don't pay much attention. They're so wrapped up in their thoughts, and yet how often some of them sit there, staring intensely at their fingers as they trace the vague pattern on the shiny arms of those chairs. Lost in their thoughts, unable to see. But what a difference it makes. When you're through with the doctor, you're on your way out, and you come face to face with that chair again. The one you were sitting in a little while ago before, when you were still in ignorance of the verdict. And you find it there. Some other patient. He too with his secret illness, or you see it there empty, impassive, waiting for you to sit down. But what were we talking about? Yes, the pleasures of the imagination. Now, how do you suppose I happen to think of a good doctor's waiting room?
Yeah, I really don't.
You don't see the connection. Neither do I. It's just that seemingly unconnected mental images are peculiar to every one of us. They arise out of experiences and considerations so private that we wouldn't understand each other if we didn't tactily agree to dispense them with one another in everyday conversation. Nothing more illogical than illusions based on such private visions. But perhaps in this case there is a connection. Look, do you think that a chair gets any pleasure out of trying to guess what the next person will be to sit down? But guessing what his trouble is, what he'll do afterward? No. Of course not. And I'm the same way. The patients come and go, and the chair, poor thing, is there to be sat in. Will I fulfill a similar function? For a while I do this, for a while I do that. At the moment it's your turn. But I want you to know that I get no pleasure about hearing about how you missed your train, about how your family's waiting for you in the country, about all the bother I suppose you've had to put up with.
It's been a real nuisance, all right.
Thank goodness it's nothing worse. Some people aren't quite so well off, my dear sir. I told you, I had to use my imagination to cling to the lives of others. But not for pleasure. Not because I'm interested. In fact, I do it because I want to share in everybody else's trouble. Be able to judge life as silly and vain, because if you can make yourself feel that way, then it really doesn't matter if you have to come up to the end of it, but you have to go on proving it to yourself. Continuously, mercilessly. Because the truth is, my dear sir, we all feel this terrible thirst for life, although we don't know what it consists of. But today, they're like an ache in our throats that can never be satisfied. Because life, at the very moment that you experience it, is always so full of itself that you can never actually taste it. All we can really savor is the past, which remains alive within us. Our thirst for life comes from our memories that bind us. But bind us to what? Why, to this everyday foolishness? To these petty irritations, to such stupid illusions and dull occupations. Yes, yes. Who knows? what taste these tears will have in 4, 5, 10 years? What flavor these tears will acquire? Life. My God, the mere thought of losing it, especially when you know it's just a matter of days. There. See that? At the corner. See that woman's shadow? There she's hidden herself.
What? Who was it?
Didn't you see her? She's hiding.
A woman?
Yes. My wife.
Your wife?
Yes. She follows me around. Always like this, always at a distance, and believe me, some days I could kick her. But it'd do no good. She's like one of those stray bitches. The more you kick them, the closer they stick to your heels. Can't imagine what this woman is suffering on my account. She doesn't eat. She doesn't sleep. She just follows me around, always like this, always at a distance. Sometimes I jump on her, I shout in her face, "Idiot!" I give her a shaking and she takes it all. She stares at me with these eyes. Eyes that I swear to you make me want to strangle her. It does no good. She waits for me to move before taking up the trail again. There, see her? That's her peering around the corner.
Poor woman.
What do you mean, poor woman? Oh, you see, she'd like for me to stay at home so that I could benefit from her most loving and tender care, so that I could bask in the perfect order of all the rooms, the spotlessness of all the furnishings, the silence that used to characterize my house, measured only by the ticking of the big clock in our dining room. That's what she'd like me to do. Now I ask you, just so that you can appreciate the absurdity, no, not the absurdity, the macabre ferocity of this pretense. Do you think that the houses of Messina or Avezzano, knowing they were about to be smashed by an earthquake, would have contentedly stayed where they were? Lines up along the streets and squares, ever obedient to the rules and regulations of the town real estate board? No! My God, these houses of wood and stone would have somehow managed to run away. Try to imagine the citizens of Avezzano or Messina placidly undressing to go to bed, folding up their clothes, putting away their shoes, snuggling down under the covers to feel the clean white sheets, knowing all the while that in a few hours they'd be dead. Now, does that seem possible to you? Let me finish. Wouldn't it be wonderful if death were merely some horrible, disgusting insect someone might unexpectedly find on you? You're walking down the street, and some passerby carefully extends 2 fingers of one hand and says, "Pardon me, may I? You have death on you." And with those 2 fingers, he plucks it off and flicks it away. That would be wonderful, wouldn't it? But life isn't some horrible insect. Many of the people that you see walking around, maybe carrying it on them, nobody notices. And they're calmly and quietly figuring out what they'll do tomorrow and the day after. No, not it. Look, my dear sir. Come over here. Under this light, I'll show you something. Over here. There you see it. Under the mustache. There you see that pretty violet nodule. Know what it's called? Such a soft word. Softer than caramel. Epithelioma. Pronounce it so that you can feel how soft it is. Epithelioma. Death. You understand. Death passed my way planted this flower in my mouth, and he said, "Keep it, my friend, I'll be back in 8 or 10 months. Now I ask you, if with this flower in my mouth I can stay calmly and quietly at home as this poor woman would like me to do." I shout at her, "I suppose you'd like me to kiss you? Yes, kiss me." Do you know what she did last week? She took a pin and she cut herself on the lip. And then she grabbed my head and tried to kiss me on the mouth, because she says she wants to die with me. Well, she's crazy. I will not stay at home. I feel the need to stand in front of shop windows and admire the skill of the clerks, because you understand, if I for one moment were forced to look at the void inside me, why, I could even, like nothing at all, just snuff out the life. Just pull out a gun like nothing and take the life of some innocent stranger like you. You said, I was only joking. I will be going now. I would kill myself if I ever. But those wonderful peaches are in season. How do you eat them? With the skins on, don't you? You break them in half. Squeeze them slightly in your fingers like a pair of juicy lips. Delicious. Give my regards to your wife and your daughters waiting for you in the country. I imagine them dressed in blue and white, standing on a lovely shaded lawn. When you get there in the morning, I suppose the village is a little distance from the station, isn't it? At dawn you might easily want to walk it. The first tuft of grass that you see. Count the blades for me. That's the amount of days I have left to live. Be sure to pick me out a nice, fat tuft of grass. Good night. My dear sir.